Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. And before we get started, a big thank you to the Latoken team, Maria and to Hasmit, for making today's episode possible. If you haven't done so already, please do check out the archive on latoken.com to hear from today's speakers and all speakers of the VCTV family. Today, we're going to be having a very outstanding panel of co-hosts who have joined me from around the world to talk about a very important subject, and that's diversity throughout the blockchain and crypto industries. We're going to hear from all of them on their thoughts, what they're seeing, their insights, and also talk a little bit about what's happening in the venture space, what's happening on the entrepreneur side, and what's just happening in general throughout blockchain. We talk about this every day, not just here on VCTV, but on other shows throughout the VCT network of what continues to happen in an industry that changes by the millisecond, it sounds like. And so we're going to hear from some of the best and the brightest from around the world and their thoughts and insights of what's happening in this industry. Let's go ahead and start off by introducing my first co-host, Vandana. Let's kick it off with you. If you could, a little intro and a little background for everybody, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank the entire team of Latoken for having me here over and over again, especially to Hasmik, Maria, Vivek, who are at the back end doing so much efforts to make this show. And thank you, Kyle, for hosting me again. I'll introduce you to myself. I was in Singapore and Jakarta for many years, 15 years in investment banking. I worked as an investment banker and advisor to family offices and angel investors in Jakarta, Indonesia. Helping startups from a diverse background, from fintech, B2B tech, all the way to consumer startups. I was raising funds for them and providing them with a range of services, just as Convanto does today. And after 15 years of staying in Singapore and Jakarta, I came back to India. I did investments for a bit and then returned to advisory. That is when Convanto was founded. And today, Convanto is one of the most well-known boutique investment banks in India and led by a female founder. Today, I'm also a venture advisor with Loyal VC, the INSEAD-led Canadian VC Fund, having a core portfolio of over 160 investments in more than 35 countries. I'm also a partner with GST Venture Studios, a Silicon Valley-based venture builder. And over the years, I've arranged funding for startups and growth stage companies in diverse sectors like edutech, fintech, consumer, B2C, B2B, agri-tech, health tech, food tech, disruptive and deep tech, as well as non-tech sectors. And please do have a look at my website for all the wonderful testimonials written by my favorite clients. And this month, I've been nominated as one of the top 10 women leaders in Wealth Management 2021. And my expert opinion is often sought by leading business news channels and publications like VCTV, Business World. And I've participated in 100 plus talks, and you can easily access these talks on YouTube channels and VCTV streaming site. And I could be reached out at www.convanto.com. I'm also connected with 300 plus investors globally. We are sector agnostic. We pick up global deals, and we typically do $1 million to $25 million. And once again, thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much as well. And congratulations, Vandana, on the recent award. That's very exciting. Jillian, welcome to the show. First time with us here on VCTV. It's a pleasure. A little intro and a little background, please.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And Vandana, what a wonderful introduction. And what I love, do you know what I want to pay tribute to your introduction? You are confident, you are bright, you are not boastful, but you are setting it out as it is. And that is really nice, because I'm listening, I'm going, as a woman, I'm going, whoa, you've done a lot of things, a lot of accolades, so impressive. And it's like, because women often, they go, oh, I don't do this, or whatever. They get very small in themselves. So, I mean, I start off by saying, well done.
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, I'm going to tell a little story, which is very different to Vandana's one. Very, very different, but it's a little one because I want to explain why I'm so passionate about women and blockchain. And my story, it's kind of a long story, but if I can tell it really, really quickly. I'm Irish, living in Ireland. I have lived all over the world. I've lived in Singapore, and I've lived in Australia and London, living back in Ireland. And I was married, and we were living down the countryside in Ireland, a big, huge house, nice big mortgage, everything. And then I hit recession and divorce at the same time. So my first piece of advice tonight is do not get divorced in a recession. Not a good time to do it, I can tell you. Second thing, everything blew up. There's a long story, but the short story is everything blew up. My ex went back to the UK. He became bankrupt and gave all the debt that we had put in the house and all the rest of it to myself and our 2 children. So I'm there in the middle of the recession with the debts all mine. And because everything's going crazy, my business is collapsing, bailiffs are calling. It's just a horrible time. And in the midst of it all, I started to hear this refrain, this narrative that the people were gaming the system. The people were. And the banks use these terms like moral hazard and debt forgiveness and all these these terms. I went, excuse me, people fail all the time, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. And they're not necessarily gaming the system. And at the same time, there was a huge rise in financially inspired suicides. Horrendous. There were people dying left, right, and center, mostly men, because their life had changed. Maybe they became redundant, they became sick, they became divorced, whatever. For whatever reason, they weren't able to support the family. And men are typically not great at talking, and it was horrendous. So I got very activated, so much so that I became like the face of austerity in Ireland, if you like, because I'm in this house, I've got a mortgage, I can't pay it, my business is collapsing. So I make a video to sell the house, and it goes viral. Everything goes viral. It's mad. So I end up on all these televisions. I end up in Russia Today and Al Jazeera and BBC and French TV, you name it, American TV, everything, telling this story. And the more I spoke about it, the angrier I got about this whole narrative about people gaming the system, because they weren't. People were just failing financially, and then they were suffering every which way. All the shame had been heaped upon them. So I made the video. I got a cash offer of someone to buy the house. The banks refused to consent to sell the house for, I think it was at 500 at that stage, 500K. They preferred to repossess it, and they sold it a few months later for 125,000. It made no sense. Nothing made sense. So I'm now an activated, angry woman, which I think we need to be sometimes. Anyway, and I said, this is so unfair. Everything is so unfair. And I realized that I had to become bankrupt, because when the home was taken from me, I still had the debt. I became the first female bankrupt under the new laws. And around that time, I also discovered that I wasn't allowed to run for public service, because being a financial failure was somehow perceived as being a shameful thing, and I wouldn't be good enough to run. So I brought the Irish government to the High Court and all the way to the Supreme Court, arguing that my constitutional rights were being infringed, that I should be allowed to run for public office. I changed the law. Yay! And the next election that came up was the 2014 European parliamentary elections. So I ran in those. Mad experience. I'd never run before in politics. And I had like 6 weeks to run, because when the case finished, I had 6 weeks to run. It was just crazy. I had no money, I had nothing, no party, independent, and just, saying this is not right. People should not be shamed. People should not be shamed unto death. And I got 11,500 votes, not enough to get elected, but enough to make a difference. And then a year later, there's a long story, I met blockchain, and I went, oh my goodness, this is how we fix the world. Because during my 14 years or so in the wilderness, I began to realize there's so many things that are not fair in this world. Why are all these things happening to people? We know increasingly that for 2 people to raise a children, they both have to work. You can't leave one person at home, one parent at home. My generation, our kids will not be better off through hard work and education alone. And we know that the wealth of the mighty, and then the poor are getting poorer and poorer all the time. So when I met blockchain, I went, this is a fantastic democratizing opportunity technology. And what I love about blockchain is it is innovative. I love the fact it's just amazing. It's also, it rethinks things and unthinks things. And that's what we need right now, because there's so many broken things in our world. We need to say, why are we doing things this way, and why aren't we changing them? And the third reason why I really, really love blockchain is that it comes with a healthy dose of, I want to make the world a better place. And that is pretty cool. It's not a zero-sum game. It's actually, let's fix things and fix it better. And what better place to put women? Because if it's only left to nerdy guys, and no offense, nerdy guys, we're not going to achieve what we need to achieve. It's a powerful, powerful technology. And that's why I feel so passionately that everybody needs to get involved. And at the moment, it's a bit of a sausage fest. We need way more women. So that's my pitch.
Wow. Thank you very much, Lee. And I've got a few questions to follow up with you on that when we get there here in just a moment. And thank you very much. And lastly, Maria, welcome to the show as well. First time guest with us here on VC TV. A little intro and a little background on yourself. And then I believe you have a project that you'd like to share, and we'd love to hear more about it and kind of how that's playing in the role in terms of diversity in blockchain. But an introduction about yourself and a little background first.
Sure. Thank you, Kyle. And thank you, Talkin, for sure, for holding this, for having me here. I've subscribed to Vandana's words at the beginning with thanking the platform, but also, what two amazing, inspiring women. Both you and Vandana, and your story, Jillian. I'm left here speechless now and what to say after that. Just to be very brief and keep talking about this, how we need to always be on top of our limits. We need to be on top of our game, right? So this is how my story kind of goes, because I come from a very different background. I will not go into details because I'm going to blow your minds. But let's say I have a very varied background and experiences. I'm originally from Spain and I'm based here now, but I also lived in different places. I moved to Asia and lived in different countries for several years. And I ended up doing so many different things than what I studied for. And that's when I found out, I noticed that I didn't need to stick to what I thought I knew. I realized that if you have the motivation and if you have the willingness, you can do anything you want. And that took me in the past few years to the technology world, and that's where I settled. I decided to settle there because I saw all this potential, and then I found blockchain, just like Jillian, kind of. So that's where I invested all my time in the past few years, doing different things in technology, but for sure now fully focused on this project that we'll talk about it later. I'm super excited to bring it and share it with you here. Just to keep it short, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, let's jump right into it. Why don't you kick us off, set the stage here, and kind of what you're building, and again, how that plays into the overall picture of diversity throughout the blockchain and crypto industries. I may just refer to it as the blockchain industry henceforth to save the tongue twister of both. So apologies in advance. But Maria, why don't you kick us off, set the stage, tell us a little bit about what you're working on and why this is so important.
Okay, great. Good. So, I'll tell you a little bit about how we started, how we came up with this. And this actually happened last year. It's very recent. It was during the pandemic. And that's when we, a project team, me and of course my colleagues, we came up with this idea. And it really goes in line with all this conversation and the topic we're going to talk about today, because we're talking about a minority. And it's something that in 2021, to me, thinking that women in blockchain or even in technology in general or any other industries or fields, that being a topic really means something, right? So I wonder how come, because we're talking about the human race. We're talking about individuals, and we all have the same potential. So taking it from this perspective, this is what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to create a fully inclusive platform to allow everyone to get involved, no restrictions, no limitations, play our little part in balancing out what we believe that has become a very, very unfair system. So we decided to tackle the main issues surrounding traditional lotteries. This is what we decided and chose. So I'm sure all of us here are pretty familiar with lotteries probably in our native countries or some famous world lotteries, and probably also familiar with the main issues surrounding them. If we talk about Hughes House edges, we can also mention the small odds to win. It's very rare that somebody wins the lottery. And this is exactly where My Lotto Coin, which is the project I want to talk about today, was born. And it really stands out. So it was conceived to reconstruct this concept, the lottery concept that we all know, and transform it into a reliable, transparent, and DeFi-powered game. like make it a truly fair game for everybody. So what we've done is we haven't really reinvented the lottery. I mean, we're actually following the exact same rules from traditional lotteries. We're using the same draw schedules. We're using the same winning numbers at the right time, at the same time they're published in official lotteries. So we chose to build this on top of the blockchain technology, this lottery platform. We chose Ethereum blockchain. I'm sure for so many other people, so many other projects, this came to make our life so much easier. It really has helped us build the trust that I'm sure most of us have lost in traditional games. So yeah, apart from these traditional elements that we have kept, we have innovated. I mean, this is what we are here to do, right? So what we did was we incorporated a unique way of playing, just to make sure that everybody gets rewarded, right? And get away from these lucky ones who are the few people who nail the numbers that basically is very, very hard to get. So we want to believe that the sky's the limit here, right? And playing this lottery, I want to name like very few features that it has, just not to go too much into detail, but talking about inclusion and globalization, it has zero restrictions regarding location. It's available for everyone in the world, no matter where you are. We're also done with ticket dependency. I mean, imagine going to the lottery shop, purchasing your ticket, making sure it's intact until you go, if you win, of course, if you do, and claim your prize. I mean, this is over. I mean, we are having this is automatic, right? It's also so easy to play because we don't ask for any information. People don't need to create any account. There's no login. Therefore, we remove all the issues and potential security risks by not maintaining any data because we don't ask for any personal data. The house edge is non-existent. There's no house edge. 85% of total ticket sales of the money collected from there goes straight to the prize pool. This is the biggest ever. And then there's the last that I want to mention, but it's my favorite, so I needed to keep it for the last one. This is where we have introduced a new way of playing, a new way to reward players, to make them always the winners. So we have introduced an innovative staking plus system. And the way it works is 10% of total ticket sales. Lottery tickets, by the way, are sold in ETH, are paid in ETH by players. So this 10% is quarterly distributed among token holders. And for these, we have developed a native token, which is a utility token. So as long as players hold this token, every 3 months, they will receive this 10% in ETH. So by holding our token, which is called MYL, Mill token, we call it, you receive ETH, which is it's fair enough. I mean, so yeah, just to finish up regarding project status, where we are right now, we have achieved our first milestones. This includes a fully operational US powerful lottery game, which is the first one we decided and we chose to release, since it's one of the most famous lottery games in the US. And we have decided to push forward as well a few other milestones, just to make sure we keep adapting to this crazy, fast evolving world. We need to meet our community's needs and be up to the level. So we are always looking for ways to keep growing with our community, make sure everybody can be a part of this revolution we want to believe. We have great things on the way, and our ultimate goal is basically to create a lottery that is the lottery of choice for people, the fairest lottery in the world, and empower players, because we believe they are the true owners of the lottery. There would be no game without them. So they are the ones who need to be rewarded for everything. So yeah, this is it from my side. It's really the time to think about how to benefit from blockchain, and this is the way we decided to benefit from it, using a traditional concept and making a revolution out of it.
Thank you very much, Maria. I really appreciate just sharing this project with us. I mean, whether formal or informal, always takes a lot to share what you and your team have built and put so much passion and time into, and we really do appreciate it as well. And it sounds like what you're doing, and I want to open it up to both Jillian and Vandana if they have anything to comment, and then we'll jump into a few other questions. But I mean, what you're doing from the My Lotto coin perspective, you and your team, I mean, you've created something that you're working towards a fair lottery system, location independent, bringing in this new level of gaming and financial opportunities for many, kind of bringing us into that world, or many of us into that world of decentralized finance, or DeFi, that it sounds like we've spoken so much about on VCTV and otherwise. That's very exciting, and congratulations to you and your team on that. Jillian, any thoughts or comments you want to add on in terms of kind of some of these areas, and then Vandana, I'll come to you next. But Jillian.
Sure. And I think the thing that I really like about the project is that it reminds me of a local fundraiser. So you live in a village or a town or a community. People they put in their money, and they put in a certain amount, they win a certain amount, and it helps the local community, and no one feels gouged, and no one wins excessive amounts maybe, but it's a really gentle way of redistributing money, if you like, in a community, and raising money for a function. And that's what appeals to me about my Lotto coin, is that, again, there's the fairness, because I mean, having a flutter, there's nothing wrong with having a flutter. It's kind of made into a bad thing now, but it's nothing wrong with doing that, especially when there's a quality of how the money is shared out. And I think it's a fun thing to do. And we know that traditional lotteries are termed, like a per man's tax, because you never win. You just don't win. And then, it just doesn't happen. And this is quite nice to say that you have a little flutter and you might win. And if you don't win, you might win something else, or you could earn on your tokens. So I like, it's nice. It's nice. There are nice things in this world. So yeah, wholesome.
Thank you. Vandana, anything else to add?
I think what Maria is doing is quite disruptive and unique, and it's one of its kind. And I have first time seen a model like this, so I would really like to read more about it. But thank you so much. It was explained very well, and in crisp format, even without the pitch deck. You did a good job of pitching. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you, Vandana. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'll make sure everyone gets connected afterwards as well. So no hesitation. And with that, I want to jump right in further on kind of what Maria set the stage with us for. And Jillian, I'm going to come to you first. You had an outstanding story of how you found blockchain, and you kind of left it off as you seeing blockchain as something that we can use to fix the world, and kind of left it ambiguous. So I want to go a level deeper on that. So congratulations to you for teeing me up on that opportunity. But how do you see blockchain and again, crypto and otherwise working to fix the world? And even from that diversity perspective, right? Making it inclusive, or making the world and pieces of it inclusive for everybody. If you could, how do you see that working?
Well, what the most powerful thing about blockchain, the whole ecosystem, is that it is disruptive and it's decentralized. So at the most basic, the idea of cryptocurrencies work because we can exchange value peer to peer. And we know, I'm not very fond of the banks since they took my home, but the banks do not really serve a purpose. Current banks do not serve a purpose anymore. They're so busy gouging people to get their profit. It's just they're not. We need to borrow money. That's a given, because you cannot live your life, an ordinary life, raise a family. You need to borrow money to start a business, to buy a house, to pay for education. Borrowing credit is not getting credit and raising debt is not a bad thing. It's a normal thing. But when it's turned around, where we live in this world where it's normal for us to pay our entire lives paying off a mortgage. What's that about? Mortgage means a little death in French, for goodness sake. So blockchain makes us rethink things, and and often for the better, because things tend to happen, and they've always been that way. People say, we've always done it that way. But why? Why? Like, for example, women didn't vote until 100 years ago. So 100 years ago, you could have said, well, women don't really have the brain part of it. We know that. And then they were allowed to vote if they had property, because if you had property, that obviously made you a more intelligent person. How strange how that view came about. So it's just blockchain. It has the ability to shake up processes, supply chain, banking, remittances, all these different things, land registry. It shakes up the technology underneath it, which allows us then to say, oh, could we do this better? And oftentimes the answer is yes.
It's a very, very good point. Always can do something better as well. And Vandana, anything to add on to that? I know you work in a number of areas, invest in a number of areas surrounding blockchain, in addition to blockchain. Anything to add on to Jillian's point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a few points that I would like to add, especially with regards to women. Since the beginning of blockchain industry, women in blockchain have played key roles in strengthening the technology's global influence. Now, women have contributed to the expansion of the blockchain industry alongside supporting the capabilities for maintaining continuous development and exceptional levels of success. Women have slowly, are gaining the dominance in the tech sector, as women presently hold around 20% of the jobs in the domain of technology. Interestingly, around 17.7% of the startups in the field of tech have female founders. On the other hand, the participation of women in blockchain technology has been considerably low. Now, presently, only 5% of women are involved in the crypto sector, with the contribution in the roles of investors, developers, founders. And on the contrary, male community engagement is higher in the field of blockchain. And such numbers clearly draw attention to the necessity of changing the current social standing of the blockchain industry. And I also feel that the world needs influential women in blockchain, because they have better communication skills, it's a better community building skills for women, and initiatives by women in the crypto space. And also there's a need for balance in the blockchain ecosystem. Also, the benefits of social media talent of women in the blockchain community is really important. Apart from this, a blockchain based system provides a convenient approach to handling payments. And a blockchain works by allowing parties to interact with one another over a decentralized network. And the two entities that are managing the funds will send their private and public keys out in a transaction. The keys confirm the identities of the people handling the money. And the blockchain transfer is then confirmed by two parties. Their transaction will be recorded on the blockchain, which is run by a countless number of nodes that will manage the data. The content is easy to track, plus it can be removed from the ledger after it works. So I think these are some of the things that I wanted to highlight.
No, this is great. And it actually leads me to kind of our closing thoughts question for today. And, with diversity still being an issue throughout blockchain, I mean, each of you have called it out directly or indirectly throughout today's show. What do we do? How do we actually work towards fixing this? And I know it's a question probably asked more times than not, and something that we've all talked to. Don't worry, Jillian, you're going to go last. I'm going to put you last on this one. That's okay. Because I know you've got a big, you know what, actually, I'll have you go first, because I know you got a big statement. So I'm sorry.
Just really quickly, I'll jump in and I'll jump out. It's not very popular, but gender quotas work. It's like if in politics, people say, oh, I don't want to be elected because I'm a woman. If you let politics do the same, and there's 52% women in the world anyway, it would take 400 years for most Western democracies to equalize, for a lot of different reasons, but that's how they recommend. If you do blunt instruments at the beginning, like gender quotas, so you force women up and support them, and not just women, diversity, genders too as well, and support them, that's the other important thing, it will then equalize, and then you don't need the quotas anymore. So that's my thing. It's quite controversial. People say, oh, I don't want to be promoted because I'm a certain thing. Because men are promoted because they're a certain thing for many, many years, white men in particular. So it's how do you get it normal? That's it. That's my fast thing. Quotas.
Thank you. All right, thank you. So with that being said, there's the opening statement and the question for each of you and your closing statement. And then, of course, where can you be found? But yeah, I mean, what can we all do? And what can those that are listening, how can they help to improve diversity throughout their project or through their company or throughout the ecosystem as well? As Vandana, you mentioned, I mean, blockchain is very community oriented. Maria, you called it out on how your team got started. And Jillian, it's exactly what I think has continued to drive you in this industry as well. So what can be done to make this more opening, to make this more welcoming for all as an industry, and also, challenge each of us to do something as well. And then, of course, where can you be found online? So, Vandana, I'm going to have you kick us off if you don't mind, and then I will come to Maria, and then I will come to Jillian to close us out.
So I feel it begins from home. The difference between blue and pink has to stop. Blue is for boys, pink is for girls, and soccer is for boys, and dolls are for girls. So this thing has to stop first. And there is a lot of talent everywhere. Whether it's a male or a female, I think the right kind of talent also needs to be encouraged. Women need to be empowered with the right kind of education. Women need to be empowered with the right kind of tools as to how to go about. So I think it's very important that it begins with home. So let's educate first at homes that how to empower all our women. And secondly, I'm thankful that, Latokan TV is always calling me as a speaker over here. And it's a great effort that Latokan VC TV puts into each and every show with the, highly qualified moderators over here. And I could be found on LinkedIn or my website, www.convanto.com. Please feel free to reach out to me. And thank you so much.
Thank you as well, Vandana. Maria, same to you. Same question. And then, of course, where can you and the company be found, both as well, to the audience?
Okay. So for the first question, I totally agree with Vandana's words. It starts from home. It starts from stop making differences between genders, between boys and girls or whoever. It's all people, right? Humans and individuals. So, but I do believe that there needs to be a time to boost and enhance the women in general in everywhere, because historically, definitely we come from a place where men are the reference. Men are the ones who bring the income to the house, are the ones in the leading roles, are the one in the top positions. So there needs to be a time to, as Jillian was mentioning, to establish the equality between both, and eventually that will come with time. Everybody needs to prove themselves for their capabilities, for their skills, for what they can do, for what they are able to do, not for their gender, but for who they are, who they want to be. We need more strong role models, female, to inspire, especially children. They need to grow up in a society where women can do just anything they want, just like men, women, whoever, doesn't really matter. They need to learn that they need to grow up with the concept that there's no difference between them. That's going to help eventually changing our mindsets. And for the second question regarding finding about myself, it can be definitely through LinkedIn, of course. But if we're talking about the project, we have the project website where every detail is there, white paper and technical and functional details. That's at mylatacoin.io. The game can be played as well directly through the gaming platform. That's at mylatacoin.com. And of course, in all social media, we can be found through handler at mylatacoin in every Telegram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Medium, everywhere. And through our email as well. Anybody can shoot in any question, feedback, comment, collaboration, proposition, anything. That's info@mylatacoin.io.
Thank you very much, Maria. Jillian, close us out. Any other additional closing thoughts to today's question, or closing question? And then, of course, where can you be found online for those looking to connect and continue the conversation?
Well, I hope people do. LinkedIn, I'm going to say first, I'm going to invert the questions. LinkedIn is the best place to reach me for business contacts and stuff like that. First question, I want to also thank everybody here. I want to thank LA Token, VC TV, and everybody. It's been a very interesting conversation, short and sweet and very good. And I love the idea, start at the children, babies, let them be who they are. And then, as Maria was saying, then, people are individuals, let them build their capabilities and what they want to do. And I think the final thing that I need to do as a woman in this space, because I'm the elder lemon, I think, in this program, is to be here, stay here and just talk. And as a journalist and broadcaster, I'm allowed to do that. I have a voice, which is great. And I want to use that to profile women and profile the goodness. It doesn't have to be, I mean, I profile men too, of course. So I think just be present and have a voice. And if you, or whatever your talent is, mine happens to be a writing voice and a broadcasting voice, but be there so people can see you. Say, oh, there's Maria, there's Vanya, there's Kyle, be there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jillian, Vandana, Maria. Thank you all very much for your thoughts and insight around today's topic, both about women and diversity within and throughout the blockchain industries. Really appreciate each of your stories and the comments provided as well. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, make sure you click like, share, and subscribe on today's episode and channel. And to hear from more speakers, including today's speakers of the VCTV family, do check us out at latoken.com as well. And a big thank you again to the Latoken team and to Maria and Hasmik, who make today's episode and all episodes possible here on VCTV. Also, please do reach out to each and every one of my co-hosts today. They'd all love to hear from you, as they mentioned and gave you their contact information, but do add context when you reach out, how you heard or where you heard and how you met them and what you would like to continue the conversation about, so it's effective on all sides. And with that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Ladies, thank you again very much for all of your time today and for sharing everything on this conversation. To our audience, everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. With that, take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.